Hello friends, in this video tutorial we are going to look into grid in Materialize. Grid helps us make our code responsive. With grid, you are going to determine what will show in large screen, what will show in small screen, and what will show in medium screen. How are we going to achieve this? Okay, this is Materialize. We go to CSS. Okay, we have talked about color. Yes, here I show you all the colors we have in Materialize, their class name and their color code. Okay, now moving to grid. Okay, Materialize makes use of containers. Okay, assume this is your web browser. If you are using containers, it will pad the right. Okay, it will pad the right and it will also pad the left. But if you remove container, let me click it. You see there is no padding there is no longer a padding, and this does not make our work look so cool. So in everything, I think we will need to use containers. Okay, turn on containers. You see the padding. Okay, so I am going to include container. Just write a div. Okay, and close it. Make sure you have this class container. Okay, back to my code. Okay, this is where we stop, where we talk about the navigation menu. Okay, this is where our navigation menu started. Okay, and stop here. Okay, so just after the navigation menu, before the closing, before the JavaScript here, in between here, this is where everything will continue. So I'm going to create a div here. Okay, the class of the div is container. Okay, so we have imputed container in our code. So back to Materialize, we are looking at grid. Okay, grid makes Materialize make use of 12 columns, as you can see here. And with this use of 12 columns, it helps us to be able to make our web page responsive. Okay, help us to set the layout for our web page. I suggest you visit materializecss.com, go to CSS, go to grid, okay, and read out this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we are going to make our page responsive using grid method. Okay, so let me just copy this to show you that grid makes use of 12 columns. I copy it. Okay, just place it inside the container. Yeah, okay. I normally right click and format my document. Okay, yes, to make it look more nice. Okay, let me test this out. Review in Explorer. Open. Okay, you see the grid giving me a 12 column format. Okay, so what do we have here? Back to this code, you see I'm using division. So what grid is trying to do is to putting this thing up to 12. Assuming I add let me see, I add 13 and 14. You will see that this 13 and 14 will start in a new line. You see the 13 and 14 starts in a new line, telling me that even if I'm using the columns, I can use the maximum of 12. Okay, I can use the maximum of 12. For example, assuming I want to list things column by column, I can only use maximum of 12. It will not pass 12. Any other columns will start in a new line. Remember, this is not table columns, but normal div columns. And with the use of this, we can easily make our code responsive. What do I mean by making our code responsive? Let me show you this. Okay. To make use of div, the first thing to do is to create a div. To make use of grid, sorry, the first thing to do is to make use of to create a div that has a row class. Okay, this is a div here. I will say class is equals to row. So I'm talking about a row now, and this row can only have maximum of 12 columns. Maximum. Okay, now I want to achieve something. What I want to achieve is I want to list something that have three. Okay, that have 3 columns on a large screen. Then it will have 2 columns on a medium screen, and it will have 1 columns on a small screen. Okay, let me just write down what I want to achieve. Okay, I want to achieve a card that will has 3 columns on a large screen. Okay, just want to copy this so that our typing will be very easy for me. Okay, and to have 2 columns on a medium screen, and has 1 column on a small screen. Okay, this is what I want to achieve. Okay, back to this place. Remember, I have already removed this, so let me refresh. It's gone. Okay, so once I write this, okay, I will now start writing my card. Okay, let me go and copy card, although we are coming to talk about card later. Coming back to this place, go to component, go to cards. Okay, let me just make use of a simple card, this simple card. Okay, I copy this card, type paste here. In this card, you see what we have. Remember, this card starts from here and ends here. Okay, so I don't need row. I will remove row because I have already created rows already. I already have this row here, so I have to remove this. Okay, this way says for the columns. Remember, we have talked about row. So before you start writing columns or grid, you first of all in the class write columns. You specify for the small screen, makes use of all the 12 grid. That is, cover the whole 12 grid. For the medium, makes use of 6. Okay, use half. You know, when you say 6, it will use like half of the grid. The grid is 12, right? Now you say this card should cover about 6 of the grid, meaning that you are covering half and leaving the other 6 behind, which is half. Okay, this one says 12 covers everything. And when you say X, you're talking about the small screen. When you say M, you're talking about the medium screen. But when you say L, okay, you're talking about the large screen. I will say for L, use 4. Okay, use 4 of the columns. Remaining the remaining 8. Okay, leave the remaining 8. Okay, so when you say 4, simply means you are trying to use let me say 1/3 of the grid. Okay, you are trying to make use of 1/3. Here you are trying to make use of half. Here you are trying to make use of full. Okay, let me save this first before I move further. Okay, back to my index.html and refresh. Okay, you see the card for the big screen. Okay, with this card, you notice that this card, it can contain the second one here and still contain the third one here for the large screen. You see, it's making use of 1/3. Okay, for the medium screen, let me drag small. You see the medium screen now. This is the medium screen. The medium screen is making use of the half. Remember, we are using container, that's why we are having this part. If I put the next half here, the part will still be here. Okay, it's making use of the half. Then what about the small screen? You see the small screen now making use of the 12. Okay, you see it here. Small screen cover the whole grid, which is 12. Medium use cover 6, which is the half. Large use 4, which is the 1/3 of the screen. Okay, so it simply means that if I add this again like 3 times, I copy it, paste the second one, okay, paste the third one. Okay, each of them have this column format. Small screen use 12, medium use 6, large use 4. Okay, what happens here? Since I says large use 4, this one will be 1/3. This one will be the second of the 1/3. This one will be the third of the 1/3 in the large screen. Then in the medium screen, this one will be the half. Okay, this one will be the second, covering the first row, and this third one now will start in the next row because this 6 covers half. Okay, this 6 covers half as well, whereby the third 6 will now start in the next row because these two have already covered the whole row. Now for the small screen, what I'm trying to do is the first one will cover the whole row, so the second one now will start in the second row. Okay, and the third one will start in the third row. And with this, I have made this website responsible. I have equally determined how it will display in large screen, that is bigger phone or bigger laptops, how it will display in the medium screen, and how it will display in the small screen. Okay, let me test this code. Let me make use of the last screen first. Okay, this is the last screen. So let me refresh. Okay, so what we have, okay, we have three cards here showing in one row in the big screen. Okay, because in the big screen it says make use of 4. So this one is making use of the 4 grid. Okay, this one making use of the 4 grid. This one making use of the 4 grid. And when we calculate this 4 grid into 3, you see that we have 12. That's why it's covering the whole row. Okay, what about the medium screen? See the medium screen now. Medium screen is making use of 6. Okay, this is 6, which is half. This is 6, which is half. You see, 6 and 6 is 12. It has covered the first row. So the second one has to start from the second. The third one, sorry, have to start from the second row because the medium screen we are using 6, 6. Okay, that's half, half. Now for the small screen where we are making use of all the size, you see what we have here. This first one covers the first row because it says use 12. Use all the 12 grid. The second one, the third one. Now you see when you are using mobile phone, this is how it will show. Okay, when you are using a tablet, it shows like this. Okay, when you are using a large screen, it shows like this. With this, you see my web page is responsive, so that when somebody is using a mobile device, they can easily read whatever thing I have without zooming his screen. Okay, can easily be it will be very easier for the person to use. and to rate. Okay, so you see that grid, okay, help us to make our code responsive. Okay, back to the CSS grid. Okay, that's it here. Okay, but there are other things we need to learn. At your own time, please still go through this documentation. I am just trying to make it as simple as possible for us to understand. Then when you go to the documentation, materializecss.com, you will probably learn more. Okay, using this grid, we want to talk about offset. Okay, you see here we have in the introduction the offset, the push and pull. Okay, we have talked about this responsive, so we are moving to offset. We move to this, we move to this. Okay, then everything about grid ends. Now the offset now determines the kind of space we want to give. Okay, like this one now, look at this. Okay, it says after putting your row and your row, okay, it says that the first one should make use of 12. The small screen make use of 12. Inside your div, you started adding some span and all that. Okay, and the second one is making use of offset. Let me just copy this, put it in my code where you will see everything here at once so that I will explain it to you. I copy this. Okay, remember for this first one, the row starts from here, okay, and the row ends here. This is where the container div ends. Okay, I think I have to comment this. Okay, let me say container div ends here so that we will not be confusing ourselves. Okay, let me say this first row class ends here. Okay, so just before the closing of the container tag, because I want this row to be inside container, I paste this code that I copied. Okay, this code, let me make it more readable to the eye, where all of us can grab what is here. I will now explain it. Okay. This row starts from here and ends here. It says small screen, use 12 columns, a 12 grid. Okay, now what about this one? Okay, I think this is well formatted already. Okay, so you see the row starts from here. Okay, and it ends here. Okay, let me just right click and format document. Okay, so you see that this row starts from here and ends here. Then inside this row we have the first div. Okay, we have the second div. In this first div, we say small screen should cover the whole stuff. Okay, then let me focus on, let me say medium screen, make use of half. Okay, then large screen, make use of 1/4, right? Okay, this one have offset now of 6. This is where we are interested. Okay, okay, I am trying to find out or think out how to explain this better. Okay, this offset is focusing on the small screen 6. Okay, I think I have to do this with the large screen. Okay, so that we will understand what I'm trying to achieve or what they are trying to achieve, and it works in all of them. Okay, Okay, let me still make use of this small screen. Okay, let me say in the small screen here, we say 6. Okay, for the second one here, now say 6, and the third one have offset 6. Okay, now what we are going to see is that this first one will make use of the half of the screen in the small size, in the small screen size. Remember, I'm focusing the small screen size. The second one will complete the first row, okay, which means first row is going to have 2 div. Okay, in this div, I want to color them. I want to color their background red. Okay, let their background be red. Okay, we'll talk about more on colors, but this is how we change the background color. Just copy the color class name, put it here, so that everything in this column will use that color. Okay, let me say the second one should be blue. Okay, and the third one should be green. Okay, so the first row is going to have 2 div, 6 and 6, to cover the first row, 6 and 6. But the second row now is going to have only 1 div. But this 1 div now is not going to start from the beginning. It's going to count out 6 div, 6 row, 6 columns or 6 grid, and now display in the next 6 grid. Okay, it will give space here and now display in the next 6 grid. Let me test this out before I explain. Back to our code. Remember, we are focusing on the small screen, so let me go to small screen. Okay, this should be the small screen. As you can see here in the example, you see this one covers everything. The one of offset gives space of count out 6 columns or 6 grid before displaying this, because this is using the offset. Offset simply means count out. Okay, for example, the number of what you see here is what will make use of this offset. Offset says in the small screen, that's why we have X. In the small screen, count out 6 grid and display this. Hereby, this one is showing the size which this div will use. Okay, this div is going to use 6 grid, which is half. But this offset is talking about what we are going to count out. Okay, let me just test our own. Okay, I refresh. Okay, back to where we have, you see what we have here in our own. See, the first one is making use of 6, which is using the red. Okay, making use of the half, the red color. Okay, which is what we have here. The second one is making use of the half, the blue color, which is what we have here. Okay, whereby the third one is making use of the offset 6, which we can see here, because this first and second one has 12 columns, so they cover the first row, because Materialize make use of 12 columns. Okay, each of them have 6 columns, sorry, they cover the first row. Now this second one now that has 6 columns started in the new row or in the second row, but now do offset of 6. Okay, now let me reduce this offset to 3. Okay, if I reduce it to 3, see that this will count 3 columns and start displaying this. You see, counting 3 columns, and now make use of 6 columns. You see now the remaining 3 columns is here. Offset here makes use of 3 columns. Okay, count out 3 columns, makes use of 6 columns, which is total 9 columns. Now the remaining 3 columns that will make it 12 is now here. Okay, I can now increase this and say, okay, make use of 8 columns. Okay, count out 3. Okay, which is 11, and remain 1 columns for us 3. You see what we have now. It count out 3, makes use of 8, and we now left with 1 columns. Okay, this is offset. Sometimes you would like to do something like this. Okay, don't forget that Materialize has it for you to use offset. Okay, if you don't really understand this, I suggest you watch this video over and over again. Okay, let's proceed to our Materialize class. Okay, we have talked about the offset. This time around, I want to talk about the push and the pull. Okay, when you push and then when you pull. Okay, let me copy this. Go back to the code. Okay, this is the second row. The second row starts from here and ends here. Okay, let me comment it. Okay, let me say the second row ends here. Okay, this is comments now telling us that second row ends here, so that I'll start my third row here. The second row class. Okay, and this is the third row class. Okay, making use of push and pull. Push and pull use the same format with offset, but when you say push, you are moving this to the right, and when you say pull, you are moving this to the left. Just like the word push, I'm pushing you like this from where you're supposed to be. I push you like this, then pull, I am pulling you like this. Okay, let me just make this to be more readable to the eye, so you see all the code at once. Bring this down, bring this down, bring this down. Okay, this is for the first column. Okay, then the second column. Okay, okay. Okay, for the first column, let me give it a color of green so that you understand what I'm trying to achieve. The second column, the color of blue. Okay, in the first column, we are pushing it from left to right, and we are pushing it by 5 grid. Okay, remember it will cover 7 grid. Okay, and we are pushing it to 5 grid. When you add 5 to 7, you will see that we have 12. Okay, which means it's going to count out 5 just like offset, and now make use of the remaining 7 here. Okay, now for this one, now that we are pulling, we'll make use of 5. Okay, and now pull from 7. So this one that should be here, we are now pulling it back to the left. Remember this, we push it from left to the right. Now this one, we are pulling from right to the left, and when we are pulling, we are trying to pull from 7 columns. Okay, then make use of 5. So we are saying count out 7, which is count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, and make use of 5 here. Okay, yeah, make use of 5 here, count out 7. This one, count out 5, make use of 7 here. So you are going to see that with this one now becomes the column in the right, this one becomes the column in the left, and both of them will be in one row. Okay, because this one will be making use of 7, this will be making use of 5, but this 7 now will be at the right, this 5 will be at the left. Okay, so this is a kind of, we are trying to interchange these two div. Okay, we are trying to interchange these two div. Let me run this code and see. Remember, this is making use of blue, this is making use of green. This blue one now becomes the first column, whereby this green one becomes the second column because of this push. Okay, we'll push this to the right, now pull this to the left. Okay, let me set it to small screen, because that is exactly what we are making use of here. Remember, here it says small screen. So big screen will use other things all different together. Okay, So when you indicate them here, you can indicate the one of medium, indicate the kind of push and pull you want it to be. The same thing goes here. You can do the same thing with the large screen. Just write the large, okay, just the way we did here. Just the way we did here. Then for the offset or for the push, when you write, maybe you do something like this, push, okay, arrow for something like this. So this push is focusing on the large screen. Okay, you can do the push or the offset for the medium screen. You see, this is focusing on the medium screen. You can do this, okay, for the small screen. This is focusing on the small screen. The same thing goes with offset. When you do it like this offset is for the small screen, okay. This offset is for the large screen, okay, whereby this offset is for the medium screen like this. Okay, this is how you state it. So remember, we are not going to test all the examples on all the screen due to time. We are just going to use either we focus on medium screen or large screen or small screen, but just want you to understand that if you want to make use of all the three screens, you have to do your calculation very well. And when you talk about push, indicate which screen is that and the number of columns you want to push from. The same thing goes with medium screen and small screen. When we talk about offset, it goes with the same thing. So you remember, all the example we are making use here is focusing on small screen. Okay, the ones we are using here is focusing, like the offset focuses on the small screen. Okay, the one of push and pull focuses on the small screen. So that's why I have to change my screen to small screen so that you see the effect. If I change it to medium screen, you will not even see the effect because we did not write anything on the medium screen. The same thing goes with the large screen as well. Okay, to our code, I refresh to test out what we have. You see this push and pull. You see the first one that is blue is now to the left. The second one is now to the right. Okay, back to the code. You see it. The first one, which is green, due to we push it, it goes to the right. The second one, due to we pull it, it goes to the left. Remember, the second one is blue, which is now to the left. The first one is green, which is now to the right. To our code, you see it, green to the right, okay, blue to the right. Okay, that is all for the push and the pull. So it simply means you can push like this and pull like this. This thing, there will be a time when you will need to do this. There will definitely be a time when you will need to do this. So that's why we are learning it. The same thing goes for the offset. There will be a time when you need to do this as well. Okay, back to our Materialize. Okay, I just want to redo this screen so that everything will cover in this record area. Okay, we have talked about offset, push and pull. Now the second one, the third one they are talking about is layout. Okay, creating layout. Okay, let me just copy this. Okay, I copied it. Back to my code here. Remember, the third column ends here, so I have to comment it. Okay, third if class row ends here. Okay. So I paste this. Okay, but let me do Control Z. Let me just paste this in a row. Okay, so that I will know that this starts from another row. I don't want it to interfere with the third row. Okay, so I paste it here. Let me format so that this will make more sense to the eye. Okay, you see, This starts from here and ends here. This starts from here and ends here. This one starts from here and ends here. Okay, whereby this now covers all the road. Okay, covers all the road. Okay, let me test out this code first. Okay, let me refresh. Sorry, to our code here. To our main code here, I refresh. Okay, you even see that this push and pull is working in the last screen, but I highly recommend you do it both on the screen sizes to make sure that it will not affect screen sizes. Okay, so you see what the code we just pasted here. Okay, we are indicating the layouts. You notice that the divider class is drawing line for us. Okay, so anytime you want to draw line, you have to make use of the divider class. Okay, this divider class, let me check whether we can color it. Let me put red on the middle one, on the middle line. You see, we can color the divider class. So instead of you writing HR tag, you can use this so that it can easily enable you to color it using the Materialize suite color. Okay, green. Let me say the second one, the third one is blue. Okay, and the first one is red. Okay, remember when you are writing a color for this div, for anything in Materialize, you don't just write a color. You make sure that the color is in line with what we have in Materialize color. Okay, let me still use this opportunity to teach color. Now this is the color here. Okay, you see all the color we have. You see we have red. So when I say red, it will understand and use this color. We have pink, we have purple, we have pink dark and red. Okay, we have a lot of colors here, so make sure you are making use of the color. Sometimes I normally come here and copy the color word to word. The ones I normally write is the ones that I know normally, like the blue, the red, the green. Okay, because I know we have all of them here. But if you write any color class name that is not here, it will not show. Okay, for example, if I want to make use of this color, which is lime accent -4, I have to copy this. Okay, this is the color code for the CSS. This is the class name for Materialize. Okay, so back to this place, maybe I will say this first one that I use red. Okay, I'm changing it to this. Okay, you see lime accent 4. Back to our code. Okay, I refresh. You see the first one using that line. See the second one using grid. See the third one using blue. Okay, this one that is blue, where we do the pool, I'm going to change the color now. I'm going to change the color to lime. Okay, so that you will see the lime very well. Okay, I will still copy this. Okay, see the one of blue, the one we pull. I will claim this blue, paste this. It will make use of this lime accent 4. You see, we just copy the way it is, including this space. Okay, first we say lime, second we say accent 4, so that we get that color we need. Okay, coming back, you see that this blue will change. Okay, let me refresh. You see that color. So the reason why I put it here so that you will see it clearly instead of using it in the divider. Okay, back to the layout here. There's nothing much to talk about here. You see the layout. Okay, you can do your work like this, where you have your div, have your class session, just to partition this from other ones. Okay, you can make use of your header 5, make use of your paragraph. Anytime you want to draw line, you make use of divider. With this divider, it gives you leverage to color your line easily and all that. Okay, so this is for the layout. Just telling you that always make use of div, always make use of section. Anytime you want to start another section, make use of header anytime you need header. Feel free to make use of paragraph. As for the font, Materialize will font it using their good font for you. Okay, as you can see in this code. Okay, so far for the grid, we have talked about responsive, which is the first thing we did. We talked about creating layout, push and pull, offset, and container. Okay, let me just over for that. These are the layout examples. Okay, you can see the code, column 4, okay, and all that. Now for the responsive, I just want to show you. Okay, you see the responsive here. X is for the mobile devices. Okay, tablet is for the medium devices. Desktop is for the large devices, which is L. Okay, we equally have extra large, okay, which is for the large desktop devices. Okay, but most people make use of this. That's why I make use of them in the example. But you can still include this. Okay, you can still include it. So here it tells you about the container width. Whenever you are making use of small devices, container will make use of 90% of the width in mobile devices. Okay, but for the tablet, container will make use of the 85%. In desktop, container makes use of 70. In large screen, computer makes use of 70. What do we mean? Let me go to my code. Okay, this is the container we are talking about. You see this size is bigger. Okay, this is the container. The container starts from here and ends here for the large screen. You see here is making use of the 70% of the width of this screen. It's making use of the 70% of the width of this screen. Now let me reduce to tablet view. When this thing changed to 2, we are now in tablet view. Okay, now tablet view is making use of 80% of the width. Are you seeing have you seen that this has reduced? It's making use of 80% of the width according to what we have here. Where is that responsive again? Yes, says tablet makes use of 80%, okay, 85%, sorry, 85% of the width. Okay, then okay, this is my work. Then the small screen, if this changed to 1, I am in the small screen. Okay, you see the small screen. It says the small screen makes use of 90% of the width. Okay, so that's what they are trying to explain. When you are using that container will be looking at your screen size and know how to maintain this padding. Okay, for the mobile device, the padding, it will make use of 90%. Your container, your div will make use of 90% of the width. That's how they code it. Okay, medium size 85, large screen and extra large screen is 70%. Okay, so I don't want you to get confused here when you see this container width. Here talks about number of columns, meaning all of them maintains the 12 number of columns, so that when you do X6, M6, L4, SL3 and all that, make sure that you are bearing in mind of 12 columns. The 12 columns is in your mind, okay, so that you know how to cover columns, whether you want to make use of all the whole columns or half of the columns and all that. Okay, so this is the example of that responsive. Here is focusing on the small screen. Okay, one thing about small screen is that if you use small screen, it will affect in all the screens. Okay, that's why when we use that push and pull, it was showing in all the screens. It was working in all the screens. Now if you use medium screen, it will work from medium screen above. It will not work in small screen. Okay, if you use large screen, it will work in only large and extra large screen. It will not work in medium and small. So if you want it to reflect in everything, you use small screen. But everything you do in small screen will work in both medium, large and extra large. Okay, but if you don't want it to show just like that in small screen, you can now write the one of medium screen. Okay, look at what I mean. Back to my code, let me use for it. You see, this is showing me 3 card. Okay, let me go back to the code. Okay, that's the code. Assuming I'm using only this. Okay, let me focus on the first card. Let me remove this. Now, since I'm using only small screen, even the last screen will cover together. The last screen will cover the whole columns. The extra large, the medium screen will cover the whole columns. Watch and see. You see that this first one will now make use of 12. You see it making use of 12 in the last screen. It will still do this in the medium screen. Okay, this is the small screen. Let me zoom like this. You see, making use of the 12 columns in the last screen. In the medium screen, you see, this is the medium screen, making use of the 12 columns. In the small screen, which is the one I already write 12, it will still make use of it. Okay, because I use 12. Now, when I notice that this is not good to show like this in the big screen, the last screen, I can now determine the one of last screen. Okay, for example, when I say last screen, make use of 6 here. Okay, watch what will happen. Okay, you see, last screen will make use of half for this guy, but medium screen will make use of 12. You see, medium screen making use of 12 because I did not indicate the one of medium screen. Medium screen will automatically use this guy. Okay, so whenever you indicate, this works from that screen and above. Okay, if you do not indicate, it works from the lower screen. So this X applies to medium, large, extra large. Okay, unless you indicate the one of large, unless you indicate the one of medium. Okay, that's how it works. So whatever thing you want to apply in both medium and large, just use the small screen method. It will apply in all of them. If you feel like what you want to do in small screen is not good in the medium screen, indicate the one for medium screen. If you feel like what you want to do in the medium screen and small screen will not work for the large screen, indicate the one for the large screen. Okay, if you have this and have this, the medium screen will apply to the one of large screen, but it will not apply to the one of small screen. Okay, now assuming I have these two. Okay, let me start from this. Like I said, this applies to all. If I have these two now, this one now focus on the small screen only, whereby this medium will focus both the medium and the large. Okay, because large will first of all look at the medium. If it has medium, it will make use of the medium. If there is no medium, it will make use of the small, because large knows that it has bigger screen, so it will look for the medium and make use of medium. If there is no medium, it now comes to this. Okay, now you see that our last screen will make use of 6. Okay, let me go to last screen. This is last screen. Let me refresh. You see it. Our last screen makes use of 6. Okay, let me set it to 3. Let me set it to 3 so you see what I'm trying to say. 3. Okay. You see it now, our last screen make use of. So remember, we are focusing on this card only. Okay, then our medium screen will maintain that 3. You see, our medium screen maintaining that 3. Then for the small screen will maintain this 12. So that's how it works. Okay, now assuming I do something like this and do something like this, my screen is not extra large, so I cannot test extra large, but let me explain. Extra large will make use of this. Okay, whereby large will still make use of this, but medium will make use of this only, small screen will make use of this. So the bigger screen searches for the screen related or just under it. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So guys, that's all for this video tutorial. Thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, comment and like. See you in the next video. Bye bye.